When taking the celpip listening exam, you might think you just translate the words you hear, but in the rental scenario modules, the correct answers are rarely stated out loud. Instead, they are hidden inside cultural assumptions. To beat the exam, you need to understand how renting actually works in a Canadian city like Montreal. If you don't know the local rules of the game, the test makers will easily lead you to the wrong multiple choice option. Look at this breakdown of Canadian rental culture. First, in an apartment building, you are rarely dealing with the landlord directly. The person talking in the audio is almost always the superintendent, or super, the building manager. Second, if an ad mentions laundry in the building, it means the apartment itself has no washing machine. You will be using shared coin-operated machines down the hall. Finally, before you can sign a lease, the super will demand paperwork. Expect a conversation about passing a credit check and providing a letter of employment or references. Missing these baseline cultural facts automatically sets you up to fail. The audio won't stop to explain what a super is or why they need your employer's phone number. Knowing this context is your first line of defense against the exam's auditory traps. The most common trap involves utility bills. You will hear an audio snippet where the super says something like, "The rent covers your water and heating, but you'll need to set up your own hydro account." This equation breaks down a standard Canadian utility bill. The phrase utilities, or gongyongshuye, usually covers water, heat, and electricity. But notice the word hydro, which stands out right here. Look at this photo of utility workers in Montreal. The company name on the jacket is Hydro-Quebec, and they are fixing power lines. In many Canadian provinces, hydropower is the primary source of electricity, so locals simply say hydro when they mean the electric bill. Test makers know this. They use the word hydro specifically to penalize test takers who are waiting to hear the word electricity as an extra cost. If they say you pay for hydro, you pay for electricity. Let's move to the second trap, which targets parking and amenities. Imagine the tenant asks if indoor parking is included. The super replies, "We do have spots, but they are on demand." Does that mean the parking is A, free, B, available for an extra fee, or C, completely unavailable? The answer is B. On demand means subject to request and an additional fee, usually around an extra $150 a month. This is the REM light rail train. In the audio, landlords will try to distract you from that parking fee by boasting about nearby transit options like this, or by throwing in buzzwords like a walk score of 93. The rule here is absolute. In celpip audio, an advertised amenity is never guaranteed to be free unless the speaker uses the exact words free of charge or included. Otherwise, assume there is a hidden fee. Trap 3 is about space utilization. The audio will describe a room using physical traits, but the test question will ask you to identify its functional purpose. For instance, the manager says the second bedroom faces south, so it gets plenty of sunlight. This map shows how that description fits a tenant's need for a bright workspace to draft digital designs. You must connect the sunlight to the laptop. You have to make these connections rapidly. Let's sprint through some critical vocabulary. You won't hear stove and fridge, you'll hear appliances. Trips to the bank or grocery store become errands. And if an apartment has generous square footage, the answer key will call it spacious or kwanchanga. Pay close attention to idioms related to time. If a super says first come, first served, they are rushing the tenant to put down a deposit, meaning pay money immediately to secure the lease. Once that happens, the apartment is off the market. To pass this section, you must translate the literal words into functional, real-world meanings. Memorizing words without knowing how they interact in a conversation will leave you stuck. Here is your 4-step execution strategy for exam day. Step 1. Pre-read the options and lock on to the subject. Step 2. Listen for pivot words. The test makers hide answers immediately after words like but, however, on the other hand, or actually. This photo of a Montreal metro platform represents Step 3. Separate numbers from units. The audio will throw chaotic transit data at you. You have to listen carefully to distinguish a bus route number, like the 16 or 92, from the actual commute time, like 10 minutes. Step 4 is using shorthand. Look at this 4-quadrant cheat sheet. You don't have time to write full words. Use a $sign for rent and extra fees. Use a check mark for included utilities like heat and water. Use an X for excluded items like electricity. And use a W to track walkability and transit times. Memorize these specific symbols today. When you hear a pivot word like however during the exam, your pen should immediately be ready to draw a check mark, an X, or a $sign. Marrying your knowledge of Canadian rental culture with this disciplined shorthand eliminates information overload. You will filter out the distractions, bypass the traps, and extract exactly what you need to ace the listening module.